Yo, what's up, everybody? Let a Game Pod. It's our 21st episode. Really excited. First, we'll introduce ourselves. My name is Ray.
I'm Marco.
And yeah, we're gonna have, some very it's gonna be a very interesting episode. Um, you know, we're gonna talk about some NBA injuries, uh, some Clippers talk, which is like the first time we'll really talk about it. Pistons, and then I think just some of the bigger things going on around the NBA. So yeah, some notable players who currently have an injury. Um, you know, some of them they might be healed now because this is like a dated tweet. But you have Giannis Antetokounmpo, Victor Wembanyama, Anthony Davis, Joel Embiid, Trey Young, John Morant, Jalen Williams, Paolo Banchero, Jalen Green, and those are like some of the notable names right now in the league. But I wanted to get your kind of perspective on it as a rising med student because you have the change of pace within basketball now. Like it's not how it used to be. Basically, guys are like sprinting up and down the court almost every possession. Quick movements. A lot of people say like playing basketball is similar to like playing running back. Like there's a lot of pressure on your joints. Um, so yeah, I mean, you have a lot of guys that we've seen also that are out currently that we know have regressed, and we've talked about it on the show because of, physicality and stuff like that. But yeah, I just kind of want to get your perspective on, all these players that are out with injuries, especially because some of them are like notable players.
Yeah, I mean, I think that something that I keep going back to is how many back-to-backs there are to start the season. Because I remember,
Yeah,
I don't know if
yeah,
you remember, but I swear, like 8 years ago, the thing was like we're going to try to get rid of back-to-backs, like, and
yeah,
like they
yeah.
did cut them down that year, and
Hmm.
they like never made progress toward that since then. I think like the way to do that would have to be either extend the season in terms of like how many like months the season goes on, or just shorten the season. And I just don't think they're going to shorten the season because they look at um they look at the amount of games as like a way of we can generate like ticket revenue on these days
Yeah.
instead of like, oh, if we shorten the amount of games the injuries will be less, and therefore like each game will be inherently more valuable, not just because the players should be healthier and should be playing more games,
Hmm.
um, a higher percentage of the games, but also because like each game will be more valuable in the sense that like a win matters more in a shortened season because there's like less room for error or something like that.
Yeah.
And like as a fan, it's taken me a long time to like come to terms with the fact that I think the season should be shortened because records and milestones and stuff like that are something that means a lot to me. And if you're shortening the season, it's gonna be less games for players to accumulate those points and like
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like it's gonna be harder to reach the records in a way that in the NFL now it's easier to reach the records because they're extending the amount of games. So
Yeah.
like having that, like I'm not really a traditionalist, but having that sense of traditionalism and like being able to like try to compare eras like means a lot to me. But I think with the way that basketball is played now, like you touched on the pace like fluctuates a lot based on the era. So like the pace now isn't like dramatically different from like what it was probably like 40 years ago, but like during the early 2000s, the pace was just really shortened. But you just
Mm.
have such efficient offense now because of how many players
That's
you
true.
have on the
Yeah,
floor that
yeah,
can
yeah,
shoot. So
yeah.
players are covering like a longer distance on each like on a possession basis. And like yeah, like a lot is talked about of the AAU, and that's probably like AAU circuit, and that's probably what leads to a lot of it. But like sadly, in my opinion, there's just like not much that could be like done about that because if the players aren't playing AAU, they're it's gonna be harder for them to get scouted, and it's gonna be harder for them to like progress if they're not playing basketball year round and having that like task specificity.
Yeah.
Um, and, like yeah, it's important to play other sports, but at the same time, like basketball, it's like so skill based that playing more basketball is the thing that's ultimately gonna get you better at basketball,
Yeah, yeah,
whether
yeah.
it be like shooting or like basketball IQ or something like that. So I just don't know like what you could do at the younger levels at this point, um, because nobody's going like tune back how much basketball they're playing because like the players want more exposure, and the only way to have more exposure is to play more basketball. So I think it's a tricky situation, and maybe one day the NBA does something about it, but as of right now, um, I just don't see a way because in my opinion, the only way to do it is to shorten the season. I've seen some people talk about hitting like a 4 point line, but I think that would just make things worse.
I
Because
agree.
I was
Yeah.
doing the math. Because like the average NBA 3 point percentage, let's say, is like 36.5, because that's about what it is. Like
Hmm.
teams from 4 point range are only going to need to shoot like 27 or 28% from four to like equal what it is for three. So like if teams
Yeah.
find a way to optimize that and shoot that, they're going to start taking 4 point shots and like take no twos and like barely any threes.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Do you have any opinions on it, or like did you see anything out there that caught your eye? Because like right now,
Um,
I'm the thing is I don't even know,
I
man.
think something that's been catching my eye is really the fan reaction to load management right now and injuries going on in the league. Um, it's weird because I feel like we're so like now we're in an era where like an injury is ultimately expected from your favorite player, most of the players on your roster. When like 10 years ago, it was a goal for a lot of players to play 82 games, you know? Um, so I think like a lot of fans, like while I look at the fan reaction, they're really rooted in, like you said, traditionalism. Um, and you know, you see guys like, for example, Anthony Davis, probably the worst example to use, but a lot of the Mavericks fans, more of their frustration comes from the Luka trade, yes, but I think another part of that frustration comes from the fact that they want to see their players play. You know what I'm saying? Us as Sixers fans, we hear it all the time about how Sixers fans are frustrated that they want to see Joel Embiid more and Paul George, etc. Now, that's like a whole different story because given the history, I feel like we understand why Joel Embiid probably won't be able to play 40 games ever again in the NBA, but the average fan won't. You know what I'm saying? So like
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think that's a really smart thing to bring up because a lot of fans really
yeah,
take it out on the player, like they don't want to
yeah,
play or something like that. I'm like, no, like
yeah, they
if he
just
plays
literally
like too
can't.
many games, he's gonna have
Yeah,
another meniscus surgery, and like his
yeah,
career might actually legitimately just be over.
yeah.
Like, yeah, I
I
mean,
remember I saw, I mean, it's probably not the best example right now, but the Patrick Beverly podcast. And he was talking about how when he played with the Sixers, he would see like Joel Embiid literally having like anti-pain spray to spray on his knee. You know what I'm saying? Like we understand that type of that type of workload that an average player needs to put out probably isn't as obtainable in 2025. But again, like the average player or the average fan, excuse me, does not understand that at all. So like that's kind of like my outlook on it. Like hopefully as medicine gets more advanced, maybe like that will change injuries for the better for the future, but I mean, I'm not I'm not in the same path that you are, so like I'm only kind of guessing on what the future lies in terms of like recovery and stuff like that. So yeah. In other sources of news and like a common topic of discussion amongst fans is how James Harden has to single-handedly save the NBA.
you gotta
And
put the
like,
meme here. You know what meme I'm talking about? Where he's got like the bus behind him, he's like holding it back.
yeah, yeah.
You gotta put the meme, bro. That he's a
Yeah.
big man.
So, okay, so in code, I guess you can correct me if I'm wrong, right?
Hmm.
So for those who don't know, um, the Oklahoma City Thunder right now, they are the best team in the NBA. I have the standings pulled up. They are currently 17-1 on a 9-game win streak, first in the West, first in the league. Now, for those who are younger audiences,
Missing their second best player too. Like on top of
missing that, missing,
missing their
as we
second.
said before, Jalen Williams, he's not playing. So, for those who don't know, the younger fans, back in 2019, no, sorry, the Clippers, they traded a plethora of picks and one of their rookies who would go on to be the MVP of the league, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, for Paul George. Um, and I think like, was it two picks or was it like another player? I forget.
Is more than two picks,
No,
but
I'm
I
talking
think
about for when the Thunder, did they only give back Paul George or was it Paul George and something?
oh no, they only got back Paul George.
Uh, Arguably one of the greatest trades in NBA history. Um, and now it's low key biting us in the butt because the Clippers, they're not so hot right now. The Clippers are currently 5-13 in the West, 13th in the West, excuse me, and they're also coming off of a 135 to 118 loss against the Lakers last night. Um, and yeah, man, like it's not looking too good for the Clips. I really want them to do well because, if they don't do well, their pick will go to Oklahoma City and they have the potential to get, one of the best players in the lottery, which is like kind of, is it unheard of, bro? At least in this modern era. So I'm about to pull up James Harden stats because like James Harden has been hooping in 17 games. He has averaged 27.9 points per game, 5.7 rebounds, 8.4 assists, 45% from the field, and 37.8% from three. So yeah, like I really want the Clippers to do better, but it feels like they're kind of free falling, bro. And ultimately, I do think Oklahoma City is gonna get their pick. I remember when we had our like lost episode. I named the Clippers as like I think the 11th best team coming out of the West this year. So yeah, I mean I'm not surprised by this current result, but I am kind of like because of how good the Thunder are, it does make you think like, dang, this is like kind of like crazy. And not to say like I don't want to hate on the Thunder, obviously, because I understand I gotta appreciate greatness, but like this is like I've never seen anything like this before. So yeah,
Yeah, I really like this Thunder team, and I'm kind of scared that this whole situation is gonna make me dislike the Thunder, because like
yeah, I get that.
they
Yeah,
they also have the Jazz pick, so we need like the Jazz not to give them a top pick, and we need the Thunder not to give them a top pick, and it's getting pretty scary because both of those teams are in the lottery, their
yeah,
odds are
yeah,
like
yeah.
not not minuscule to
Do you
get like
know?
a
Do you
top pick in
know
the draft.
what pick they got the Jazz from? Because I'll just put it on the screen. Like,
Like
or, sorry, what
what
trade?
trade
Yeah,
what
my
trade they
fault. My
did?
fault. Yeah, what trade?
I don't even know, man. I couldn't even tell you. I think it's like some random trade where they just
Was
like
it? Did it have something to do with Derek Favors?
I don't even know. I feel like that might be too far in the past, but I could be
No,
wrong.
bro. Or if is it Derek Flavors or Derek Favors? He played for Oklahoma City, I think, in 2022 or something like that, or like 2023.
Um, oh yeah, salary done for Derek Favors. Yeah, that's why.
Okay. All right. Yeah, yeah. So that's where they got that pick from, which is crazy.
Yeah, that's a good call.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
thought it was something more random than that, but yeah, this is what like really I'm making about this, but this is what really scares me about like trades like this. It's like now
yeah,
I see fans. It's like, oh, I want a salary done this player and this player and this player just to have cap space, and they're like, oh, we can use this pick. It's like this is what could happen, and this is like the most terrifying thing ever. If you're like a Jazz fan, it's like, oh my God, we're gonna give them like we could give them like a top pick in this draft if
yeah. They
like
could genuinely
things
give them AJ
go poorly.
Depend.
And like I don't know, that just
Yeah,
like messes up your rebuild so much. And the Thunder team is already so stacked. Like they'd had one of the best net ratings ever last year when they were way to the finals. They're doing it again this year.
yeah,
And like yes, they're about to have like three players on really big contracts. But like the way to sustain this is to like keep drafting really
yeah.
well and having these impact
Hmm.
players on rookie scale deals along with their three stars. And like they're just set up like so perfectly to keep on doing that. And like the
Yeah,
rest of the
bro.
NBA might be cooked. So like shout out to James Harden, man. Like by 2028 and 2029, I need you to stop doing all this so you could convey like top picks to my team. And like, but like right now, like keep doing what you're doing, man. You're all NBA, one of my favorite players ever. And it's a
On
pleasure to see
God,
you
shout out
balling like
Uno,
this.
bro.
And you're
On
getting
God.
respect from like all the NBA fans out there because you might be saving the league right now, man. And you might not retire with a ring, but like this means a lot to the league
No
that you're
cap, no
doing this.
cap. Nah, I mean to kind of piggyback off you in terms of the Thunder, like they're really uniquely positioned to dominate the league for years to come and continue to still eat off of that. Like, you know, you gonna have Kason Wallace for a couple years, probably still on a good contract. You're probably gonna have AJ Mitchell on the team on a team friendly deal. Um, uh, geez. Same with the other Jalen Williams, Duke Dennis, Jalen Williams. So it's
Yeah,
like,
and it just gets tough because if they don't want to pay any of
yeah,
these players, like if they're like, oh, we don't have the money to pay Case and Wallace, like they could trade him and like probably get a couple first round picks for like at least one first round pick for him. Like that's how good
yeah,
he is.
literally,
So it's like
literally,
they could just
yeah,
keep adding to the pile and be like, oh yeah, we
yeah,
trust our drafting and we trust these three guys and we're just gonna keep doing this.
yeah, and like to again to your point, you saw what they did with Josh Giddey. They flipped him for Alex Caruso, And I can definitely see a reality if Alex Caruso kind of gets to a certain limit. They're like, we have Kason Wallace, so let's trade Alex Caruso for, you know, to some team that thinks he still has value, and we'll get back some picks and do this whole thing again. So it's like, yeah, man, Sam Presti, he really cracked the code. I mean, that's the Sam Hinkie method, low key, like
I
very
didn't want
low
to have to be
key.
the one to say it, man.
Yeah, that's the Sam
I
Hinkie
already
method.
connected the Sixers to this situation, man. I'm glad you said it though, because that's what I
Yeah.
was thinking.
So I mean, yeah, bro. Shout out James Harden, one of my favorite players, Sixers legend. I don't care what anyone says. They kind of don't show that enough, but it is what it is. But yeah, bro. I hope James Harden can continue hooping, and he might not win a ring, but if he somehow avoids like
This
this,
adds to your legacy to me.
yeah, like low key, low key. If you're a real fan, you going to
I'll be
clear
telling
James
my
Harden
kids
for this.
stories about how James Harden saved the NBA. Like my
Yeah.
kid tells me he doesn't have a ring, I'm like, you don't know what he did for this league.
On God, on
Tell my
God.
kid to shut up and all that. Be like, you don't understand the circumstances.
Nah, for real, bruh. We're still gonna talk about the Detroit Pistons. Shout out to the Pistons fans that been showing us love, like we see y'all. So we gonna keep talking about the Pistons, like you know what I'm saying. They're currently the best in the East. The record is 15-2. I think they're on a 9-game win streak. And a lot of their players are still injured. And also, Cade Cunningham is emerging as arguably the best point guard in the East. Um, Jalen Duren was another bright spot in the Detroit Pistons offense and defense, honestly, because he's I think I forget what someone said, but he like doubled his stats basically from this year or from last year to this year. So like um yeah, man, like I want to give the Detroit Pistons a big shout out. I feel like a lot of people need to do that more often. Um I could definitely see the Pistons coming out the East as well. Just given the fact that I feel like Kate Cunningham kind of gives me this type of like calm energy that I feel like not a lot of other lead guards have. And I think also like he's super dependable when you need a game winning play. So not to say like a game winner or something like that, but like if it's crunch time, like I trust Cade Cunningham to give me an assist or some points. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Um,
be out there making the right decision. I agree.
yeah, yeah. So like yeah, man, I wanted to get your perspective on the Pistons. I got nothing but praise for them, especially given their situation and the fact that they were the worst team like 2 years ago. I've seen a lot of Pistons fans, and rightfully so, be on the moon about that. Um, so I mean, like just the fact that this is a huge turnaround, man. Just shout out to them. They've been killing it for real.
Yeah, it has been a crazy turnaround. I don't know if I shouldn't say that because the Thunder had a pretty quick turnaround too. So I was gonna say I don't know if I've seen anything like that, but this is one of the more impressive turnarounds in my memory. And as far as
Yeah,
Jalen Duren and Cade go, the thing that really sticks out to me with both of them is somebody that did watch a lot of Pistons basketball last year because I do like Cade Cunningham, is the steps they made on the defensive end. I thought
yeah,
last year
yeah,
one of like the few weaknesses in Cade's game was his defense, and this year like I really see like an improvement. And it was kind of like weird to me last year because I'm like you're a bigger guard, you're like really strong, and you obviously have a high on-court IQ, like based on how you play offensively. I was like, I feel like he should be making more of a defensive impact, and sometimes like he wouldn't. And yes, he was taxed with a huge offensive role. And sometimes when you see guys with that big of an offensive role to like not show as much effort on the defensive end, I feel like this year he has showed way more like defensive ability and
yeah,
is like
yeah,
truly impacting games and really helping the team. And Jalen Duren, I think that's the biggest thing for me is like, yes, offensively, his stats have improved across the board. I always thought he was a solid offensive player, and obviously he's showing way more this year with like some of the jump shooting and stuff and like more efficiency and smarter decision making. But also on the defensive end, I feel like he's turned himself into genuinely a positive contributor.
yeah. I
Where
agree.
he,
Yeah,
as before, he was somebody that was like almost an Andre Drummond move, where it was like he was going to get defensive rebounds, but like he was an inconsistent defender. Now I feel like he's taking a step and he's just a good defender, whether that be like rim protecting or making the right read or guarding the pick and roll. I feel like he's just way more improved than he was last year. And that's the biggest takeaway from me is that their star players are contributing more on the defensive end. And I feel like this is an identity they could really buy into, especially with players like Asar Thompson on the team,
yeah,
who is one of the best defensive players in the league. I feel like they could really lean into that. And even if the shooting isn't there, um, they have enough guys that could put the ball on the floor who are good decision makers to have a strong enough offense to complement what could be a really great defense.
yeah. I mean, just to piggyback off of you, like I remember somebody saying like the new age era of like the NBA, or maybe not. I don't know. Like I something new that I've watched people say is like current championship rosters are really determined on like your top 8 players. And when I really look at the Detroit Pistons, their top 8 players are some serious top 8 players. Like off the top of my head, Cade Cunningham, Duran, Thompson, Duncan Robinson, Ron Holland, um, Isaiah Stewart, oh my
Jay
God,
Navi.
Jane.
I'm not gonna say the last. I'm not gonna say the last guy's name too. They got number 12 too, and
Oh,
he's
I
probably the
forgot about
cheapest player in
him.
the
I
league.
forgot about him,
I can't say
bro.
number 12's
I
name, but
forgot about him, bro. Yeah,
they got number 12 who is a solid player, just not when
yeah,
you max him out.
yeah. I mean, yeah. So it's like, they got some guys, and on top of that, I feel like they're young guys, low key could be starters. Whereas the year prior, probably could have like came off the bench. So it's like I feel like they're low key outplaying the veteran players, which isn't a bad thing. So I mean, it's yeah, this is a new era for the Pistons, and I'm here for it. I'm excited to see what's going on. Hopefully our team can compete with them in the future because I know they're going to be a team that we have to go through. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Ron Holland is somebody that's super interesting to me. This is like a little bit of a tangent, but like
Hey, go ahead. I
it,
like
it
Ron Holland too. I liked him last year.
I liked him a lot last year. The thing is, I wasn't the biggest fan at first. I liked him pre-draft, and then like the start of the year, I wasn't the biggest fan. But seeing how efficient he was around the rim and seeing how he could get to the rim and create driving angles, like the
Yeah,
league is built off outliers. Like a lot of the stars in the league, like true superstars, like as prospects, weren't like these surefire guys. Like yes, you got LeBron James, but then like the top 5 players in the league, you look at like SGA. He wasn't like a surefire like top
yeah,
prospect in his
yeah,
class. Same with Giannis. Like same with Jokic. We probably just scouted Jokic wrong. Like as like the NBA probably just scouted him wrong.
yeah.
But like he also wasn't one of like the number 1 overall pick guys. He went in the second round. Like Steph Curry wasn't like the
Hey,
number 1 pick.
I'm also gonna say a name you like, Tyrese Maxey.
Tyrese, exactly. So there's
Yeah,
like an obvious scouting problem in the NBA, and like some of that is just like you don't know how guys are going to develop like biomechanically or like what they're going to improve on or not improve on. Like Ron Holland, as crazy as it may sound, is like somebody I can see like if you maybe pick a guy that I think has like outlier traits that can make him into like more than just like a star. And I don't know if Ron Holland will become a star. Like if I had to put money down on it, probably not. But like seeing how he gets to the rim and creates driving angles and seeing how his like body moves and how efficient he is at the rim, even right now, I'll send you the stats for
yeah,
this so you could like put it up there. Like he's a guy that I look at and I'm like if like some outlier development happens, like I think this is a guy that would be more susceptible to that happening than like another guy. And I think if there was a redraft, he would go pretty high in that draft, even though his like stats might not be on par with like what you would really think a developing star would be. So he's a guy I'm
yeah.
like watching pretty closely because I kind of believe in him to be really good.
No, I don't blame you, bro. He's very athletic. Like he's a defensive minded player too. So like he's a cutter. Like I feel like a lot of those tangibles can really be applicable to like different teams and like as players get better and as they grow within their game. You know what I'm saying? Usually what we do on our podcast, we give a team that we like, a team that we want to improve, and then we give our LTG player shout out or player spotlight shout out. Cole, you want to go first or you want me to share my team first?
You can share yours first. I'm between a
All right.
couple, so you pick one.
Okay. So for my team, I wanted to give a shout out to the Toronto Raptors.
Nice.
I mean, they've really turned a lot of heads. We knew personally that they were going to be good based off of their games against the Sixers. Some notes that I've taken away from the Raptors, they're a relatively young team. They have long defenders, which I think is that was something that I was really thinking about going into, ranking this team, but like obviously I had them ranked at 11, so I wasn't predicting that they would be this good. But I did see the potential in defense with guys like Scotty Barnes, guys like RJ Barrett, Brandon Ingram, who we just saw last night that had a really good game. Jakob Pertl and because their system enables a lot of different players to be effective, it almost reminds me of when the OKC Thunder had Chris Paul, where it was like you had the head of the snake and then different guys could do different things. So it's a really interesting team to have. Um, I don't necessarily know how far they'll go. I'm not saying that they're not going to go far, but this type of formula with a lot of long defenders, I feel like that's a really good recipe for wins. So that's why I had the Toronto Raptors.
Yeah, I think that was a really great one. I was hoping you would pick them. I think I underrated the impact that Darko Rajakovic would have on a team that had this many solid players on it. Because Darko, I've always really liked his offense. Like last year, watching the Raptors rooting for them to win when they were
Yeah,
sitting all their
yeah, yeah,
players.
yeah,
Because I
yeah.
wanted the Sixers to keep their pick. I watched a lot of Raptors games. I was always impressed with what Darko was doing with like very little people out there. And I think Darko with like some real NBA players instead of like guys that they were playing in order to tank. I think he's been super impressive, and I think he deserves a lot of credit for that as well. I'm glad you picked him
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because
Hey man, just let the game, man. We
yeah,
going,
it was a good
you
pick.
know, come on, bro.
Um, I think it, I'll go with the Suns because I feel like
That's
I
a good
probably should have
pick.
talked
That's a
about
good
them
pick
earlier.
too. Yeah,
I know that they're not necessarily the hottest right now, coming off a loss, but in their last 10, they're still 8-2.
yeah.
They have an 11-7 record, which is good for sixth in the West right now. And that was a team I didn't expect to even make the play in. So with
Me
how they've
too,
been playing
man.
right now, I think that's super impressive. Obviously, Devin Booker deserves a lot of credit for that. He's having another Devin Booker year, averaging 26, 4, and 7. Turning the ball over a little bit, but he's asked to do a lot on that team, so it's kind of expected.
Yeah,
And 59% true shooting, he's kind of just doing exactly what you expect Devin Booker to do year in and year out. He's a player that I feel like probably doesn't get talked about enough for his contribution because we all know what he is. He's just a super consistent player at this point.
yeah,
And he's not like one of the top 10 players in the league. So I feel like guys who are as good as he is, but not true superstars tend to get left out of talks when we're giving flowers out. So I just wanted to make sure that he gets his nail. Villanova legend Colin Gillespie is having a great year. I wanted to talk about him a little bit too, because before the season started, I was reading this one guy's article, and he's like super nerded out about like the advanced analytics and stuff. And he was talking about how like Villanova was such a great college team because they ran their offense through like two really good point guards, one being him, one being Jalen Brunson. He didn't talk about Ryan
yeah,
Arcidiacono. I wasn't sure why, but I wanted to know how he compared to these two too.
yeah,
Um, and like running the offense through them, they were like both super turnover adverse guys, so it allowed other guys to like more fill roles. Like Mikal Bridges wasn't like a primary ball handler on that team; he was kind of
yeah,
like the
yeah.
same role he is now, just on Nova. And they were able to win multiple national championships out of this and be a good team even in the years they weren't winning national championships. And it kind of made me think, what does Colin Gillespie have? Because we've seen what Jalen Brunson has turned into. So I'm really glad he's getting rotational minutes this year, and he's been really great with the rotational minutes. So I'm like, wow, like, yeah, just the overall team effort from that team. I haven't really gotten a chance to watch as many games as I would like, partially because the West Coast games start so late, and
Yeah.
I got to be up early on most weekdays. So I haven't gotten to watch them as much as I would like, but they're definitely a team that's on my radar.
For my team that I feel like needs improvement, I'm sad that I have to say this team because one of my guys is on there, but I gotta say the Minnesota Timberwolves. Right now they're seventh in the West, currently 10-7 on a two-game losing streak. One of the games actually that they lost was recently against the Phoenix Suns. And I actually had the privilege of watching both the Suns game and the Kings game. And unfortunately, like I felt like one of the biggest things that I picked up was that they kind of gave up both of those games. So I feel like they've been kind of lacking defensive intensity this season, especially given the fact that it felt like they really gelled during that back half of last year. Um, I feel like giving up major games like these early in the season might affect them long term because like if I'm a Timberwolves fan, I'll kind of go into these games feeling like we should be able to beat the Phoenix Suns and we should definitely be able to beat the Sacramento Kings, both of which didn't happen. You know what I'm saying? I feel like because of that, even though Anthony Edwards is my guy, there's still another level that he has to get to. I'm challenging him to be like a better playmaker in order to reach those talks of like Shea and Luca. Um, and I also think I want to see better bench production from Nas Reed. So yeah, that's why I have the Timberwolves as my seventh or as my team that I feel like needs to improve.
So I'm gonna go with the Jazz. Their pick this year is protected 1 through 8, so it is in their best interest that they are actually pretty bad. And this my disappointment in them isn't necessarily for their record. It's sort of a two-part equation. First, I'm pretty upset with the front office. I think they should be selling Laurie. Maybe they're fielding offers now.
Yeah, I understand
But it's
that.
hard for me to imagine that Danny Ainge does trade him just because he hasn't traded him in the past when he probably should have. And I think that he might be making them too good. And if I was them, I'd be trying to accumulate as many assets as possible, especially because Laurie Markkinen is 28 years old right now. So even if like you do want to have the mentality of keeping good players, it's not like Laurie Markkinen is a young player and they're nowhere close to competing. So by the time they even will make the playoffs, Laurie Markkinen will probably be over 30 years old.
Mm,
So he just does not fit the timeline with any of the players you have right now. And he's playing absolutely amazing basketball. He's averaging 28.5 points per game on 61% true shooting, only
mm,
6 rebounds as a power forward. But he plays on the outside a lot, so like don't really care. Takes 9 threes a game and shoots 38% on them. It's
mm.
absolutely amazing. And
Yeah,
I'm sure you could get multiple first round picks for a guy like that. And his contract, we'll see how that ends up being because he does eat up a lot of cap space. So I think getting off that now, while he's playing his best basketball and actually getting assets for him will be a lot easier than if he starts playing some worse basketball. Um, but my other part is, I'm pretty disappointed that the only prospect who I think has looked good this year is Keontae George. I want to start and give Keontae George his flowers before I
yeah,
start talking
yeah,
about the other prospects. Keontae George averages 23 points per game, 4.1 rebounds, 7.2 assists on 3.3 turnovers per game, on 59% true shooting. That is legitimately a very good basketball player and a legit starter in the NBA right now.
yeah,
He was somebody that I think I was lower on the consensus because I think there are a lot of guards out there that put up a lot of points, especially young guards, and I don't know what to make of a lot of them, whether or not they'll be true impact players or true stars in the league, or it'll just be a guy that ends up being like a career six-man guy. I think he showed me enough this year for me to believe that he is definitely a starter in this league for the long term, um, with some potential to be a star if he's in the right situation with some better players next to him. I definitely think he could potentially make an All-Star game. Um, because doing this at 22 years old is very impressive, especially with not having very much talent on the team other than Laurie Markkinen. See Cody Williams having a pretty poor year.
yeah,
At the
yeah.
time of the draft, I didn't think that was a very good pick, and
He was
he
one of the
looked.
guys that I hope could do better this year too. So
Yeah, I hoped he could too.
yeah,
He looked like he was moving pretty fluidly in summer league, so I was
yeah,
like, you know what,
yeah,
maybe he shows a little bit of something. He showed absolutely nothing. Taylor Hendricks hasn't been very great. He was the ninth overall pick in 2023. He hasn't shown very much at all. And then Isaiah Collier and Bryce Sensabaugh, um, both also having underwhelming years. I was pretty high on Bryce Sensabaugh too, so I'm actually pretty surprised. He is only getting 15 minutes per game. This is the other thing I'm not understanding is like I think Will Hardy is one of the best coaches in the league. Like I watched Will Hardy coach, and I'm like, I know you're stuck on a team that it has like very little talent.
yeah.
I think you were like scheme up great offense. Like I would kill for the Sixers to have you. I think
He's,
he's a really, really good coach.
bro, him and Dagnall, bro.
Yeah, and
They
I'm like,
like they always find like the most random like coaches, but got like the craziest schemes.
bro, he's tough. It's kind of like
Yeah,
Darko and Jordy Fernandez. Like those three, I'm
yeah, yeah, yeah,
like
yeah,
we know
yeah,
Darko has talent, so like you're seeing what Darko could do. But I'm like him and Jordy Fernandez. I'm like, you guys are tough. You guys don't really have like
yeah,
anything.
yeah.
So the fact that he's not playing Bryce Sensabaugh or not getting the most out of Bryce Sensabaugh makes me think there's more of a Bryce Sensabaugh problem and makes me think that I should be lower on Bryce Sensabaugh than I have been in the past.
Mm,
Um, so I don't know. I just think their prospects, the only one that's really like lived up to their potential, I guess, this year has been Keontae George. So that's
yeah.
why they're disappointed to me is because I'm not really liking what I'm seeing from many of their high draft picks.
Nah, that's real. That's real. Now we're about to transition into our let it game player spotlight, where we shout out a player that we feel like has been impressing us since our last episode. So, Cole, who's that player shout out that you want to give?
So my player shout out is going to be Noah Clowney of the Brooklyn Nets because I
That's
think he's been
good. I
playing
was
great
gonna choose
basketball
somebody
recently.
else on the Nets too, but that's
Nice.
fine.
Okay.
That's fine.
I was hoping I didn't pick yours because there was somebody else that was like Loki thinking about talking about, but he's missed some games
Mhm.
recently.
Yeah.
So Noah Clowney, coming off a 34-point game where he made seven threes. The game before that, 22 points. Um, the game before that, 19. And then like in the tens a bunch of games. I'll put like his send you his recent stats.
Yeah, yeah, I got you.
Um, but he's been great recently. He has been averaging 12.2 2 points per game this season on 57.5% true shooting. He takes 6.5 threes a game, and he gets to the line. He shoots about four three free throws per game, and he shoots it at a 79% clip. He's a guy that I think even though he's on such a bad team, I think in the way that Trendon Watford is, could be a real NBA player for a good team. Uh, Prayers up for Trendon Watford. He got hurt pretty bad last night. He's gonna be out at least 2 weeks. So I hope that he gets back on the court. But I think Noah Clowney is a guy that could be in a similar mold to the point where if he was traded to a different team, I think that he can make an impact on that team.
That's real, yeah.
Because he's a 6'10" power forward that has a high 3-point volume and makes them and gets the line. So I think there's a lot there for him. And whether that be on the Nets or if another team calls and trades for him this season, I hope that he continues playing like this because he's a really fun player to watch, and I think he can be a truly impactful player if he is put in the right situation because he's really been killing it out there on the Nets, who are a pretty bad team.
Yeah, I
What
mean,
about you?
yeah. So my shout out is actually a player that you mentioned earlier. I want to give my shout out to Dylan Brooks,
Cool.
of the Phoenix Suns. Right now, Dylan Brooks is averaging 22 points per game, 3.2 rebounds per game, and almost two steals per game. So to back up these stats, I think like since November 3rd, he's only dropped below 20. November 8th versus Trailblazers, which was 12 points. But every other like I think from November 13th to November 24th, he's dropped 32, 34, 22, 25, 29. All of them on relatively great or not great, but relatively average shooting, if not better than average shooting. And even though 3-point shooting is one of his weak points, there hasn't been a lot of games where he's like shot them out of the game. The only couple games that I've seen where he didn't shoot well was against the Trailblazers where he had 12 points. So yeah, he went 4 for 12 against the Spurs and then 2 for 8 against the Rockets. But he still shot pretty good from the field and they still ended up winning. So I mean, Dylan Brooks, you know what he brings. You know he brings defensive intensity. You know he's gonna try to guard your best players and also try to bring out the worst in them. So, I mean, I feel like he's definitely added to the Suns' presence with Devin Booker, who already kind of has that. I wouldn't say he's like an antagonist, but I think Devin Booker does thrive in being more like not your friend, basically. And I
Mhm.
feel like Dylan Brooks kind of fits that mold perfectly. So, to see him having a career year with Phoenix, definitely I didn't expect that. I thought he was going to be a solid starter, but I didn't expect him to be this offensively. Like I feel like I didn't expect him to contribute this much from offense, given that I thought he was going to be, shooting the lights out when he left Oregon. So like, it's really interesting to see now. So yeah, that's why I gave Dylan Brooks my player shout out. But yeah, we want to thank everybody for, showing support, showing love, commenting, interacting with us. We plan on like we said, we gonna come harder. We like doing these surprise episodes because it challenges us. Definitely, Marco, you've helped me be a better student of watching basketball and learning more about basketball. And I think that's gonna help a lot of our audience learn more about that too. So, yeah, man, you got anything else you want to say?
Nah, but I definitely agree. I feel like especially the segments of like players and teams to watch out for, it's definitely like keeping me accountable as like a fan, like
Yeah,
trying
me
to
too. Yeah,
trying to like find a player that's like that nobody's really talking about who's like on a hot streak instead of just like kind of just watching the players that I like usually would watch. So I'm like more so looking out for guys who are like I don't think are getting enough love, and then tune into a game and like my dad or my girlfriend is like, "Why are you watching this game?" And I tell them it's for
Yeah,
like
yeah, real
Noah
shit.
Clowney, and they're like, "Why?"
Yeah,
Like, yeah. So I don't know. That's definitely been fun for me too. Um, yeah, it's definitely not a chore at all. I definitely have a good time doing it. It like brings a smile to my face, like looking out for
yeah,
guys like that. But yeah, no, definitely. I appreciate everybody that tuned in. Um, and everybody that's like brings up the podcast to me when they're talking about me because my friends at school now have seen the podcast when I posted on my story and they're like yeah like my one friend was like, oh yeah, I was stalking the clips of you guys and I saw you called the trend to
that's
watch for a
tough.
game before the 20-point triple double and I was like, yes bro, like you made me look so smart that night. So yeah, really definitely appreciate it.
Yeah, man. For y'all that are paying attention, make sure you like, subscribe, comment. We don't do the betting work, so hey, just let a game. You don't got to bet for it. But Cole, you got a question for the audience before we leave.
Yeah, my question is what college team are you looking forward to playing the most this year? Um I phrase it this way because my college team would be Pitt because that's where I did my undergrad
Yeah,
at,
yeah, yeah.
or Nova just because in the area and I grew up going to their games sometimes. But those two teams have not been the most exciting to watch to start this year, so I'm looking
Same here.
forward to different teams. And right now, I think the team I've been watching the most has been Houston. I really like their freshman, Kingston Flemings. Sadly, I had the game on next to me. Oh, you can't see my iPad, but sadly, I had the game on next to me, and he dropped
Yeah.
a one piece today after playing some really nice games before. So I was pretty disappointed to see that. But he's been a beast, and I think that he'll probably be a top 10 pick. And they got some like four other guys who might get drafted this year, so they've been a pretty
Mhm.
fun team for me to watch to start the year. Some really nice guard play.
That's fire. That's fire.
Oh.
For me, I'm not gonna lie, bro. A lot of basketball people, they probably not gonna like my answer.
No, no, no. I hope you give the answer that I'm expecting you to give because I want to
But
talk about your team.
gotta go with the Blue Devils, man. Duke Blue Devils, man. Come on, man. I've been blessed with being I guess brought up in the era of Duke being tough. I knew one of the players who played for Duke, shout out my guy Mill. I saw him win a championship. That was like one of the craziest things seeing that in like middle school and stuff like that. So since then, Duke has always been my team. Um, Kyrie Irving, uh, Quinn Cook, Grayson Allen,
Brandon Ingram,
um, Brandon Ingram, Zion. We can go for days,
Cam
man. Cam
Reddish.
Reddish, yup. Come on, man. Come on, bro. So yeah, bro, I gotta go with Duke, man. Duke has always been my team. So yeah, bro.
Yeah,
Also,
no, that's
shout out
that,
if they were good, it would also be Temple, but kind
yeah,
of like
nah.
similar to you, man. We're Temple's cooked right now, so
If they
maybe in
were
the
tough,
future, but
I'll be rooting for them too, just because they're in the bidding. But yeah, I can't get
yeah,
behind
bro.
that. Like I could barely watch Pitt. I definitely can't watch
Yeah,
Temple.
bro. Yeah. So
But no, like Duke's been impressive this year. That's kind of why I brought it up. I was hoping you say Duke because I think Cam Boozer is special, man. Like
bro,
I know that's not like a hot take. I
amen.
would pick him one. Like maybe Peterson passes him on my big board. I got a big board going right now, but I think he's tough. I also really like Isaiah Evans. I liked Isaiah Evans last year, but I'm using this as a.
Amen.
I
Hey,
think
shout out
that
my youngins, man.
yeah,
Shout out
I
my
think he's
youngins,
tough
man.
too.
Y'all gonna ball out. Y'all gonna get drafted, and it's gonna be more Duke in the NBA, man.
And we're gonna
For
find a way to get Cam Boozer on the Sixers. I don't know how that's gonna happen, but we're gonna find a way.
on God. Hey, whoever y'all's favorite college team is, comment below. Like we said, man, we trying to interact with y'all, trying to go crazy, man. Let a game, man. Let's get it, man. Yes, sir.